What if the biggest threat to your safety isn't something hidden in the shadows, but something you posted yourself? History has shown us. One careless word, one innocent photo, one misplaced detail is all it takes to turn your life upside down. And in a world where everyone's watching, online, offline, all the time, what you reveal may be the very thing that puts you at risk. There are secrets that protect you. And then there are secrets that, if shared, can destroy everything. Not because you meant harm, not because you were reckless, but simply because you trusted the wrong person at the wrong time. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The most dangerous information out there isn't what people are keeping from you. It's what you let slip, without even realizing the cost. Throughout history, countless lives have unraveled from one casual overshare. A sentence spoken too soon, a moment of comfort with the wrong listener, a caption typed without thinking. Now, we live in an age of constant visibility. Your online life, your offline habits, everything is on display. And those tiny personal details you casually mention, they can silently mark you as a target. The scariest part? Most people don't even realize it's happening. That's why this video breaks down 5 critical secrets you should never share if you care about your safety, your freedom, or even your life. And no, these aren't the obvious things. They're the hidden ones. The ones that sneak under your radar until it's far too late. So, whatever you do, don't click away, don't skip ahead, because any one of these 5 secrets could be the reason you stay safe or become vulnerable. And hey, if protecting yourself and the people you love matters to you, hit that subscribe button right now. Stay alert, stay aware, stay safe. Let's get into it. 1. Never share your personal financial information. Think about the last time you saw someone proudly post a photo with their new house keys, standing in front of a freshly painted front door, big smile on their face, caption reading, "Finally, a homeowner." Seems harmless, right? We're taught to celebrate milestones, to show off our wins. Social media has conditioned us to seek validation through likes, comments, and heart emojis. But here's the part nobody talks about. That one post may have revealed way more than intended. You just told the world where you live, that your financial status has changed, and that you now own something valuable. You didn't just share a happy life update. You unknowingly handed out a roadmap to your vulnerability. Let me give you a real example. A friend of mine, Rachel, finally bought her first home. Early 30s, single, worked her butt off to make it happen. She was proud, and rightly so. She posted a few simple photos, her hand holding the keys, the welcome mat at the front step, a sunny porch shot, with a street number just barely visible. Just joy. Just a win. Nothing dramatic. But within 2 months, she had 2 attempted break-ins. Once while she was out of town. Once while she was at work. This wasn't a dangerous neighborhood. Rachel didn't flaunt luxury. But that post had quietly flagged her as someone with something to lose. And maybe not enough protection to keep it. Nothing dramatic. Just joy. A moment of well-earned pride shared like so many others do. But within less than 60 days, she was targeted twice. Once while she was away for a weekend trip. And once more while she was simply at work. Rachel didn't live in a high-crime area. She wasn't flashy. But just by posting a few pictures online, she had unintentionally marked herself as someone with something to lose. And maybe not enough protection to hold on to it. Here's the thing about financial information. It's not just what you say, it's what you signal. A photo of your new car, A casual conversation where you mention your salary or a recent bonus. Even telling someone, "I'm finally debt-free." All of those can become breadcrumbs. Little clues that, in the wrong hands, lead someone straight to you. We like to think we're just sharing moments. But more often than not, we're actually broadcasting opportunity, not to our friends, but to opportunists. Here's a truth that might make you uncomfortable. Someone is always watching. Not everyone. Not all the time. But enough for it to matter. And it's not just hackers or scammers lurking online. It's the coworker you barely know. The friend of a friend from that dinner party. The person who noticed your new watch or your designer shoes and started putting the pieces together. We imagine danger looks like a masked figure in a dark alley, but more often, it's someone smiling at you while silently calculating your worth. Criminals don't typically target billionaires. Why would they? The ultra-rich have surveillance cameras, private security, alarm systems, legal teams. They're too much trouble. But you? You're accessible. You've got just enough to make the risk worth it. You post vacation photos while you're still out of town. You share stories about the big raise you just got. You show off your brand new tech. You post photos of your kitchen renovation. You share videos unboxing your latest luxury purchase. It all feels normal. But in truth, each brag is a breadcrumb. And the psychological trap here is simple. We believe the world is cheering us on. We believe that others are rooting for our success. And yes, many people are, but not everyone. Because right behind the congrats, beneath the clapping emojis and smiling faces, there are eyes that aren't inspired by your success. They're provoked by it. Some people don't admire what you've earned. They feel entitled to it. They believe they deserve what you have. And they don't care what it takes to get it. This is where stoicism becomes powerful. Quiet strength, inner stability, and strategic silence. The Stoics didn't flaunt their achievements, not because they weren't proud, but because they understood one thing deeply. True pride doesn't need an audience. They believe that peace is born from self-mastery, control over your desires, your actions, your impulses. When you begin to think like a Stoic, you start resisting the urge to overshare. You pause and ask yourself, why do I feel the need to post this? Is it for connection or for validation? Am I expressing something or just feeding my ego? That pause creates clarity. You begin to value your privacy, the way a soldier values armor, not as something to hide behind, but as something that keeps you alive. So what's the solution? It's simple, but not easy. You need to become more intentional with everything you share. You don't have to lie. You don't have to be paranoid.
But you do have to be smart. When someone asks how much you earn, deflect with grace, enough to live comfortably. Then change the subject. When you get a big win at work, celebrate privately with those you truly trust. When you make a major
purchase, wait before sharing, if you share it at all. You don't owe anyone a play-by-play of your accomplishments. The truth is this: the less people know about your money, the safer you are. Not just from criminals, but from envy, from manipulation, even from legal trouble. Treat your financial information like your bank PIN. Share it with no one unless absolutely necessary. And even then, ask yourself, why am I sharing this? Oversharing might feel harmless in the moment. A quick selfie at the airport, a tagged coffee shop, a scenic view from your weekend getaway. But once it's out there, you no longer control how that information is used. Or worse, who uses it. And here's what most people forget. Your location is one of your most valuable pieces of information. In the wrong hands, it becomes a weapon. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had that sudden uneasy feeling that someone knew exactly where you were and they shouldn't have? That jolt of fear that grips your spine. It doesn't let go. We live in the age of casual check-ins, of tagging locations in real time, of posting travel plans before we even arrive. We think we're just sharing moments, but what we're really doing is giving away our position, and sometimes to people we don't even know are watching. Let me tell you about Maya. She was newly engaged, full of joy, and loved documenting life on Instagram. One weekend, her fiancé surprised her with a romantic trip to Lake Tahoe. She was thrilled. She posted everything. The moment they hit the road, a cozy cabin shot. And on day 2, a playful snowshoeing photo with the caption, "No cell signal, no problems." But there was a problem. Someone from Maya's past, a man she had cut off after an uncomfortable encounter, had been quietly following her account. He saw every post in real time. He didn't just know where she was. He knew where she wasn't. Home. While she was wrapped in snow and laughter, her apartment in Sacramento was broken into. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing was vandalized. The thief didn't even take much. Instead, he went through her closet, her drawers, her private space. This wasn't about stealing. It was about control, access, a sense of intimacy, the kind she never gave him. And that's what makes this so terrifying, because not all threats are after your money. Some people want control, some seek revenge, some are driven by obsession, and every time you post your real-time location, you're offering them a roadmap. This isn't paranoia, this is pattern recognition. We've normalized the habit of broadcasting where we are when we're leaving town, and what we're doing, thinking, only friends are watching. But here's the truth. Anyone can be watching. Social media doesn't screen your followers. It doesn't ask them why they're here. It doesn't know who they really are. That guy you met once at a party? The woman you worked with 5 years ago? That anonymous account that's been liking all your recent posts? Any one of them could be studying you. And here's the stat that should make you pause. Over 78% of modern burglars now use social media to choose their targets. They don't need to guess if you're home. You told them, you showed them, in real time, and it doesn't stop at break-ins. Even when theft isn't the goal, danger escalates when you share your daily routines, your 6 a.m. morning jog, the yoga class every Wednesday night, those peaceful, late-night walks when the streets are empty. These aren't just habits. They're a schedule, a blueprint. And if someone wants to find you, they don't need to ask questions. They just need to watch. Let's pause for a second and ask, why do we feel the urge to post where we are while we're still there? So much of it boils down to validation. We want to feel connected. We want to be noticed. We want the world to see that we're living a full, vibrant life. But here's the cost. That craving for connection can quickly become a liability. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes not just helpful, but essential. The Stoics taught that peace doesn't come from being seen. It comes from self-mastery, from valuing what you can control and releasing what you cannot. Your safety? That's something you can control, but only if you stop offering your movements up for public consumption. The Stoics believed in inner strength over outward recognition. They trained themselves to savor life's moments without needing to display them. That's the mindset we need now, more than ever. When you live stoically, you learn something powerful. Not everything meaningful needs to be shared right now. You delay gratification. You protect your peace. You guard your privacy like it's a treasure, because it is. You begin to ask yourself, What do I really gain from posting this right now? Who do I trust with this information? What's the cost if the wrong person sees it? That kind of self-inquiry. It's more powerful than any lock or alarm system. It's the mental firewall that most people never install. The goal isn't to disappear from the world. The goal is to become less predictable, less exposed, and far harder to manipulate. So here's what you do. Shift the timing. Post your travel photos after you return, not while you're still on the trip. Share that fun restaurant or hangout spot after you've already left. Keep your daily routines, your workouts, your favorite cafe, your quiet morning walks, limited to conversations with people you know deeply and trust completely. And most importantly, stop believing that caution equals fear, because it doesn't. It means you're paying attention. It means you're seeing the world as it is, not as you hope it will be. It means you're moving smart, not scared. We live in a time when even something as beautiful as joy, a celebration, a vacation, a simple smile, can make you a target if it's shared carelessly. But when you guard your location, when you protect your movements, when you hold just a little bit back, you reclaim control. You turn your life from an open invitation into something more sacred, more protected. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The most dangerous people don't need to break in. They just wait for you to open the door. And when your location is public, you've already left that door wide open. Privacy is the modern-day fortress. And the strongest walls? They're not built out of fear. They're built with intention. So be quiet, be careful, be stoic. And if these insights resonated with you, drop a simple yes in the comments. Let me know you're with me. Your thoughts matter. I read everyone. What you thought was your strongest layer of protection. You may have just turned it into a challenge for the very people you're trying to keep out. When you post about your new alarm system, your motion sensors, your cameras, your biometric locks, you think you're sending a message? I'm prepared. This house is protected, but to someone with bad intentions, you're sending a different kind of message. Here's the system. Here's the layout. Here's what I'm guarding, and it's probably worth taking. Now, flip the scenario. Some people go the other direction entirely. They downplay everything. At a dinner party, in a casual conversation, maybe even in a neighborhood chat group. They'll say things like, I don't have anything worth stealing. We've never needed an alarm. My neighborhood's safe. It sounds humble. It sounds laid back. But here's what it really says to someone who's listening carefully. There's no resistance here. Easy target. Because criminals, like water, don't go toward the challenge. They follow the path of least resistance. They're not looking to outsmart the high-end system or confront a dog or a neighbor. They're looking for an opening. And when you casually announce you have none of those layers of protection, that opening just widened into a welcome mat. Let me tell you about Greg. I knew him back in college. A few years ago, he moved into a new house with his wife and their little girl. Greg was a tech guy, loved gadgets, and when it came to security, he went all out. He bought a top-tier safe to store some cash, some important documents, and a vintage watch passed down from his grandfather. He was proud. He'd worked hard. And during a casual conversation in a home renovation Facebook group, he shared that excitement. He talked about the brand of the safe, mentioned the biometric lock, even joked about where he hid it, tucked behind my suits in the closet, just like a Bond movie. He wasn't trying to show off. He was just excited, like most people would be. But just a few weeks later, while his family was out of town, someone broke into the house. And what was taken? Not the TV, not the laptops. Not even anything visible. Just the safe. Gone. Nothing else was touched. It doesn't take a master criminal to figure out what happened. Just someone who listens, watches, and waits. So what happened to Greg wasn't the result of recklessness or a lack of preparation. He had the tech. He had the safe. But the one thing he didn't have? Discretion. And that's what most people still don't realize. Not all criminals are impulsive. Some are patient, strategic, observant. It doesn't take a genius. It just takes someone willing to listen long enough, watch quietly, and act when the time is right. Many of the most dangerous people aren't lurking in dark alleys. They're scrolling your feed, sitting next to you at work, smiling in a group chat. They're collecting your patterns, your routines, and the details you casually drop without a second thought. Greg's mistake wasn't buying the safe. It was talking about it, in a space where strangers could hear him. And the truth is, we do this way more than we realize. We post house tours on Instagram. We proudly showcase our kitchen remodels. And in doing so, we casually point out that the bedrooms are in the back, kind of far from the street. Here's our new entry system. This cabinet? Yeah, it hides the good wine. We joke with coworkers about where grandma keeps her jewelry. We make offhand comments like, yeah, my gun's just under the bed. We don't do this because we're careless. We do it because it feels normal, even bonding. But what we're really doing, we're giving someone a playbook, a blueprint, a reason to plan. Psychologically, this behavior comes from a deep place. We want to feel seen. We want validation. A pat on the back for being responsible, prepared, safe. But real safety isn't performative. It's private. And this is exactly where Stoic philosophy draws the line. Epictetus once said, "Be silent for the most part, or if you speak, say only what is necessary, and in few words." That's not just about being quiet in conversations. It's about mastering discernment, knowing what to hold back, resisting the urge to offer what isn't asked. To live stoically is to understand something most people forget. Praise, curiosity, and even admiration are not proof of success, and they certainly aren't worth your safety. Because here's the hard truth. Revealing your defenses doesn't make you stronger. It makes you vulnerable. The Stoics believed that true strength lies not in what's seen, but in what remains hidden. A fortress isn't powerful because people know what protects it. It's powerful because they can't figure it out. So what's the takeaway? If you must speak about your home security, keep it vague. I'm covered. That's enough. If someone asks what you own or where you store your valuables, steer the conversation elsewhere, or keep your answer general. Talking about home renovations? Share the result, not the blueprint. Because every extra detail you give, that's one more piece someone can use to plan their way in. That's why you must learn to separate what feels good to share from what's smart to share. Because in a world where information travels faster than consequence, one wrong sentence, one seemingly harmless post, can come back like a wrecking ball. Once the wrong person knows enough, you don't hold the power anymore. They do. And in this age of oversharing, that transfer of power can happen in seconds. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary, not a stage for performance, not a showroom for social media. So here's the golden rule. Keep your defenses silent. Keep your possessions sacred. Speak less than you feel tempted to, and guard your privacy like it's the lock on your front door, because in many ways, it is. Now let's move into secret number 4, and this one runs even deeper than material things, because when we think about personal safety, we often focus on the physical. Locks, alarms, street smarts, self-defense tools. But there's another kind of threat, one far more subtle and far more dangerous. It doesn't knock down your door. It doesn't sneak in through a window. Instead, it disguises itself as curiosity, empathy, even friendship. It comes for you psychologically, and it starts when you share too much about your personal or family vulnerabilities. This kind of danger doesn't come at you waving a weapon. It creeps in quietly while your guard is down and your mouth is open. By the time you realize what you've exposed, the damage is already done. And no, this isn't just a theory. It's real. It happens every single day, and most people don't even see it coming. Let me tell you about Jordan, a soft-spoken man in his mid-50s, kind-hearted, quiet. He had just gone through chemotherapy, a long, painful journey. And in a spirit of generosity, he decided to share his experience. He posted in his local community group, hoping to inspire others, to find solidarity, to build support. People applauded his courage. They praised his vulnerability. He felt seen. He felt safe. But what he didn't realize was this. Among those clapping were eyes that didn't see inspiration. They saw opportunity. Jordan lived alone. He was often fatigued. He relied on painkillers to sleep, and one night, someone broke into his home. No forced entry, no confrontation. They didn't need to threaten him. They already knew he wouldn't be able to fight back. He never saw who did it. He never stood a chance. This is the brutal truth. When you reveal your weaknesses too freely, you're handing someone a roadmap, not to connect with you, but to exploit you. When you speak openly about your health issues, emotional wounds, traumas, or fears, you may feel like you're simply being honest, but to the wrong person, you're doing something else entirely. You're handing them a personalized guide to your weak spots. And here's the uncomfortable part. Not everyone who listens wants to help. The desire to open up is deeply human. We want to be seen. We want to be understood. We crave connection, real connection. And yes, vulnerability can be beautiful when it's shared in a safe space with people who have earned your trust. But today, we live in a world where oversharing has become a reflex. We've been conditioned to expose ourselves, not thoughtfully, not intentionally, but constantly, casually, and often publicly. A Facebook comment, a casual story told at a dinner party, a raw confession in a TikTok video. What we're doing in those moments isn't just expressing emotion. We're giving strangers access to deeply sensitive parts of our lives. And when those personal truths fall into the wrong hands, they don't just inform, they invite exploitation. Here's how it works. Manipulators and predators aren't always obvious. They're not necessarily driven by cruelty, at least not at first. They're opportunists. They watch. They listen. They take notes. They study weakness, not with malice, but with calculation. Someone who learns you hate confrontation? They'll test your boundaries in subtle, quiet ways. Someone who hears that you live alone and struggle with mobility? They see an unguarded path, one with no resistance. Someone who knows about your abusive ex, your phobias, your unresolved guilt. They now have tools to personalize their manipulation, just for you. This isn't random violence. This is targeted harm, tailored destruction. And sometimes, the risk isn't even to ourselves. We think we're being open to help others. But in that same breath, we might be putting our loved ones at risk without even realizing it. Mentioning that your elderly parent lives alone. Talking casually about your child's after-school routine. Telling someone that your sibling with a disability is home during the day. These don't sound like warnings. They sound like ordinary life. But in reality, they're not just details. They're maps of vulnerability. And when shared without awareness, you might be offering someone else's weakness to someone who's waiting to exploit it. So what's the alternative? This is where the wisdom of Stoic philosophy comes in. Come on. Stoics weren't emotionally cold. They weren't closed off. They were deliberate, measured, intentional. Crispus once said, "The wise man will speak correctly and with restraint. He will confess not to everyone, but only to those who are suited to hear it." That last part, only to those who are suited to hear it, is where real power lies, because Stoicism doesn't tell you to suppress. It reminds you to discern. Some truths are meant to be shared quietly, with trusted counsel, not with the crowd, not with strangers, not with an audience that hasn't earned the right to know. To live stoically doesn't mean to stay silent. And it doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world. What it really means is this: you understand that not every truth is meant for public ears. You recognize that protecting your personal story isn't an act of fear, it's an act of strength. Self-protection isn't about shame, it's about discernment. Because your vulnerability, it's not weakness. It's sacred, and in the wrong hands, it becomes a tool for harm. If you've experienced trauma, if you live with chronic health challenges, if you're still emotionally recovering from loss, that story deserves respectful handling. So, choose carefully. Choose who you tell and how you tell it. Use private channels. Lean on licensed professionals. Confide in people who've shown up for you consistently, people who've earned your trust over time. And when you're in public spaces, keep it general. You don't owe strangers your pain. You don't have to unpack your struggles for people who haven't proven they're safe. And if you ever feel that deep, aching urge to share, pause. Ask yourself honestly, am I sharing to connect or just to be seen? Do I need to be understood, or do I just want acknowledgement? Because often what we really want is someone to say, "I get it, you're not alone." But that kind of validation isn't worth handing over the keys to your personal security. You can heal without broadcasting. You can connect without exposing. You can be strong without being visible. Let's bring it home. Have you ever shared something personal only to regret it later? Has someone ever used your openness against you? If so, I want to hear from you in the comments, because your story might just wake someone else up before it's too late. At the end of the day, your safety isn't just about what you can fight off. It's also about what you never allow in. Your strongest armor might not be your strength. It might be your silence. Now, I want you to picture this. Every piece of personal information you post online, a photo, a comment, a quiz answer, is like a puzzle piece. By itself, it feels harmless, tiny, forgettable. It doesn't say much on its own. But when someone with bad intentions starts collecting those fragments across your posts, tags, captions, and public profiles, they don't just see a few random moments. They start building a complete picture. Not of your personality, but of your identity. And that picture, it can be used to impersonate you, hack into your accounts, scam your bank, or even destroy your digital life entirely. And here's the part that stings. Most of this data, you gave away freely. Not because you're reckless, not because you're irresponsible, but because we've been trained, conditioned to believe that sharing equals connection, openness equals authenticity. But here's the truth. That's not always true, and definitely not in today's world. Let me tell you about Melissa. She was a bright, confident young teacher, very online. She loved doing those lighthearted About Me quizzes on Instagram stories. Favorite band? Pearl Jam. First pet's name? Lucky. Hometown? Dayton, Ohio. Just for fun, she posted a nostalgic photo of her first car, a silver Toyota Corolla. And later she shared a graduation picture from high school, clearly labeled with the name of her school. Sounds harmless, right? But without knowing it, Melissa had just publicly answered almost every standard security question used to access her email, her banking app, and her online shopping accounts. It didn't take long. Soon her inbox was overflowing with alerts, password reset attempts, flagged bank activity. She was locked out of multiple platforms, and it took weeks and a cybersecurity expert just to begin untangling the chaos. But what hit her the hardest? It wasn't the inconvenience. It was the betrayal, because she didn't get hacked by some shadowy figure in a dark room. She handed her security over herself, one cheerful post at a time. This is how modern identity theft actually works. It's not the Hollywood cliché of a hacker in a hoodie. It's casual, patient, familiar. It's someone quietly collecting breadcrumbs while you're busy trying to be relatable online. They don't have to break in. You left the door open, and they simply walked through. It doesn't take much. Your birth month mentioned in a casual Facebook comment. Your high school mascot in a throwback yearbook photo. A joke about being class of 2007. A tagged photo of your brother with the same last name. Individually, none of these seem like a big deal. But together, they can reveal your age, your birthplace, your family network, and in many cases, enough data to reconstruct partial social security numbers, or craft highly convincing phishing attacks. Because once someone knows where you bank, once they know which apps you use for your finances, they don't have to guess. They'll create fake versions of those platforms, mirror the login screens, send you emails that look exactly like the real thing, and bait you into clicking. You'll think it's just another routine notification. But it's a trap, built from the breadcrumbs you scattered online. And this is where Stoic thinking becomes more than just helpful. It becomes essential. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In today's digital world, we can take that one step further. If it is not safe, do not post it. Stoicism teaches us self-discipline to control what we can and let go of what we cannot. You may not be able to control the internet, but you can control what you put out into it. You can choose silence over impulse. You can pause before posting and ask yourself, who benefits from this information? Who could misuse it? Would I still share this if a stranger with bad intentions were watching? Because guess what? They probably are. Living stoically in the digital age means treating your personal data like you treat your physical body. With respect, with clear boundaries, with the understanding that exposure comes at a cost. It means realizing something powerful. You don't owe the internet your entire story, especially not to anonymous, ever-watching eyes you can't see or trust. You can still live fully. You can still connect. You can still share your voice without handing over the blueprint to your identity. So, what's the solution? It's not about fear. It's not about paranoia. It's about precision. Use false answers for your security questions. Answers only. You would know. Don't post about which financial apps or services you use. Regularly audit your digital footprint. Go back through old posts. Delete what no longer needs to exist online. Tighten your privacy settings. Because control isn't about hiding. It's about protecting. You wouldn't leave your front door wide open, right? So why leave your digital life exposed? Make it hard, really hard, for strangers to build a version of you that you never gave them permission to create, because that's exactly what's happening every time you post a little too much. Melissa didn't get hacked because she was careless. She got hacked because she trusted a system that encourages oversharing and punishes people who choose to stay quiet. But here's the good news. We can break that system, not by disappearing, not by going off the grid, but by choosing silence when it matters most, by protecting the small truths, the ones that seem too insignificant to worry about, until someone uses them against you. So now let me ask you, have you ever shared something online that in hindsight felt a little too revealing? Maybe you answered one of those cute quizzes without realizing how much personal info it was really extracting. Maybe you overshared in a moment of emotion and regretted it later. If so, drop your story in the comments, because your experience, your hard-earned lesson, might just be the wake-up call someone else desperately needs. And if this message struck a nerve, don't stop here. There's more you need to know. Click the video suggested on your screen right now. It's filled with practical strategies, simple, actionable ways to guard what's most important, ways to protect your data, your identity, and your peace of mind. Because in a world where information is power, the smartest thing you can do is protect what you know and keep the rest to yourself. That's not fear. That's survival. That's stoicism in action. And if you've made it this far, you already know. You're not just watching a video. You're waking up. These 5 secrets. They're not just tips. They're your personal firewall in a world that's watching, listening, and waiting for you to slip. You don't have to live in fear, but you do have to live smart. Because protecting your life starts with protecting your information. So here's your next move. Hit that subscribe button. Stay close. Stay aware. I'll keep showing you what most people overlook. And if this opened your eyes, share it. Someone you care about might need this more than you realize. Your safety is your responsibility, but you don't have to face it alone. Let's keep building your defense together.